106.3 FM.
The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect the views of Money Radio staff, management, or advertisers, and do not represent an offer to buy or sell any securities. Some interviews heard on this program may be sponsored by the participants. It's time for Health Futures with Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth. This is Arizona's only show dedicated to providing you with expert advice on how to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. To learn more, call 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Health Futures. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and we are coming at you live from the Scottsdale Aero Park, right from the Money Radio studios, and it is the last Friday of April, April 28th. It's hard to believe. We're just cruising along. 2017 is just becoming a blur. If this is the first time you've tuned into our show, Health Futures is a show about how our older adult population can live a healthier, happier life. And really, our tagline is taking stock in you. And by doing that, we provide incredible content. And how do we do this? We bring guests on our show to talk about content. And it is really talking about some of the challenges that our aging adult population deals with. And today is no different, and I want to just get right into it and really let's get into the meat of this, because this is a challenge that we all are dealing with. And as Dr. Pierre Theriault once said on my show, it's not an epidemic, it's pandemic. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about Alzheimer's and dementia. And if you are listening in and you have a family member that is dealing with this, or you have a friend, or you know of somebody that's dealing with this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't, pretty soon you will, because the statistics are daunting. So I'm going to cut right to the chase. I'm going to introduce our guests here to the show. First, here to my left is Dan Lawler. He is the executive director of the Desert Southwest chapter for the Alzheimer's Association, somebody I've known for a number of years. And he is proud to be here on the show. I think this is probably your fourth, maybe fifth time on.
I think it is my fifth.
Your fifth time to the show. So welcome to the show, Dan Lawler. Thank you for being on.
It is always a pleasure to be here.
And just to his left and my right is Michelle Toft, and she's our director of memory care programming. And she works for Cypress HomeCare Solutions, a 20-year veteran in this space that deals with dementia and Alzheimer's. Welcome to the show, Michelle.
Thank you, but you're making me sound old here, Bob.
Well, the listeners can hear your voice, so they know that you started when you were 16,
That's
so they
right.
know that.
When I was 5.
When you were 5,
sure.
okay, when you were 5.
That.
Well, the other thing that I want to just share with our listening audience is that I'm really privileged to have the two of you here, because you left a conference that is being held right down here in Scottsdale at Scottsdale Bible Church. And Dan, tell us a little bit about this conference, because there are a lot of families out there that are looking for resources. And the Alzheimer's Association, as long as I've known, holds this caregiver conference. If you wouldn't mind, share with our audience.
Sure. I mean, it is the 26th year we've done the annual Caregiver Education Conference.
Wow.
Over at Scottsdale Bible. It's really grown over the years. We have well over 400 people are out there right now. And we offer a variety of sessions. I know we opened up the morning with a keynote speaker from Dr. Sabat, who's joining us from D.C. And then what we do is we have a plethora of sessions throughout the morning and afternoon, so that people can choose which of the education workshops, what they want to learn about, what's going to be most applicable to their lives, so that they can hopefully learn those skills and put them to good use, because we want to have as dynamic a conference as possible, so that we can be there and provide that information that's so critically needed.
And, the hardest thing about it is, and I want to share this with our audience because I've attended these conferences, is that many of the people that are here are the caregivers.
Correct.
And they don't necessarily are able to just leave their loved ones that they're caring for. So, I mean, you do have a place, or you do have the ability to bring their loved ones in that are afflicted with this disease.
Correct.
And, provide respite, or do you have activities going on? Can you share with us?
We can. We do provide respite for families that want to come and can't leave a loved one because of the disease progression. Also, if you're caring for a loved one or you're just starting the disease journey where somebody's in the early stages of the disease, we actually have sessions designed for individuals in the early stages of the disease for them and for their care partners so that we can helpfully do some planning, do some future planning, give them the skills, and do some education for them as well.
I mean, to give you an idea, I'm just scrolling through the brochure, and this is, I'm not ad-libbing it, but I just pulled it up as you're sitting here talking. I mean, you mentioned Dr. Sabat, who is in from, I think he's from Washington, D.C.
Correct.
And, to have him, who's a leader in this field, to talk to these 400 people that are attending, is really a gift for them to hear some of the things that he's working on and the impact that he is having on this very issue.
Correct. And, I realize your listeners, they may not be able to make it out there today. It is an annual conference, so it'll be around this time next year, and you can always call the association. You can go online and put your name in that you'd like to know information as it comes up. Dr. Sabat was a great speaker. He spoke a few things about new to me as well, especially around the idea that just because an individual has Alzheimer's, they're still forming memories. They may not be able to recall or access them, but studies prove that the way their behaviors are, they are forming new memories and are acting upon those, whether or not they can actually recall those. So some really informative new ways to look.
That's really
at
awesome.
Some interactions, yeah.
And here I am. I'm looking at the first session, and rock stars, Mary Beth Gallagher from Hospice of the Valley, a better balance practicing mindfulness of well-being. Then you got Dr. Burke, the possible future treatments for dementia. He's over at the Banner Alzheimer's Institute. And you got Richard White, who last week we had Daniel Nunez from Jackson White here on the show talking about advanced directives and National Healthcare Decision Day. He's a rock star. When I was on the board of the Alzheimer's Association, he was on the board. I think he still is, isn't he?
Eric McDonald, one of the
Eric
other partners,
okay.
is, but Richard is still involved. And one of the things that you talked about before we went on the air is that truly, I believe the Valley and where we are here truly is a hotbed of research. It's a hotbed of Alzheimer's care and education. So we are so fortunate to be able to bring together, as you would put it, such rock stars, such experts in the field.
And the last rock star I did leave off is the one that's sitting right to your left, my right, and that is Michelle Toft. And, Michelle, I don't say enough about you, but you were talking about personal care and best approaches. And, one of the things that I think all of us that have dealt with this disease or know people that are dealing with this disease, the battle for the bath, the shower, to stay clean is usually one of the most difficult and challenging ones that people deal with as caregivers.
Absolutely. Battling with the bath, brushing teeth, getting to the toilet, all of the things that as adults we're used to doing on our own, we want to continue to do on our own. And so I really focus on living in their world and validating their feelings, and that we're there to help and finding some tips and tricks to distract while we provide those types of care.
And, rounding out the people, just so you know, Scott Hawthorne-Waite, I had him here on the show. He's with Area Agency on Aging, talking about community resources. Heather Mulder from Banner Alzheimer's Institute, building your care team. And Hella Brand, who I think the world of. She's a physician assistant working for the Banner Alzheimer's Institute. So I want to pick up on the fact that we have this great destination called Phoenix. If you are afflicted with this disease, or you know someone that's afflicted with this disease and you're living here, you may not realize how privileged you are about the resources that we have. If you're listening from another state, you might want to move here because we have such great, robust resources. Sure. It's hard to believe we got Eric Clapton taking us out. Thank you, Wes. We're done our first segment. Stay tuned. We'll be right back for our second one. We'll be right back.
Are you struggling with stubborn, unwanted fat? Are your clothes not fitting the way they used to? Cool Sculpting is the way to go. Check out the world's leading non-invasive fat removal and body contouring treatment. Cool Sculpting at Scottsdale Center for Women's Health and Vitality Men's Health frees away unwanted fat for good without surgery or downtime. During your free consultation, we'll customize a plan for you. Cool Sculpting at Scottsdale Center for Women's Health and Vitality Men's Health. Call today, 480-425-8702, or visit vitalitycoolsculpting.com.
Arizona investment property experts are now your Mexico investment property experts. Join investment property experts for an informative Investing in Mexico real estate workshop. Learn about investing in Puerto Peñasco, Mexico, and how you can earn a net 15% annual return. IPX's crown jewel in Mexico is the Esmeralda Resort, located on Sandy Beach in Puerto Peñasco, Mexico. Puerto Peñasco is the popular beach getaway known as Rocky Point. Only 3.5 hours away from Phoenix, Arizona, this is the perfect investment and vacation opportunity for you. As an investor, you will not only earn 15%, but you will have access to numerous investment projects. Currently, we are offering Esmeralda investors discounted lots, houses, and condos that can be purchased and flipped. And best of all, everything is 100% turnkey. With the home port commencing construction this year and its planned completion in 2019, this project will be a big boost to the economy and investment real estate in Rocky Point. Learn more by attending an informative workshop. Call 602-254-6244 or visit ArizonaInvestmentPropertyExperts.com.
Have you ever thought about long-term care? Who needs it? When do you need it? If you're not sure, you need to tune into this week's My Smart Retirement with certified financial planner Nancy Fleming and Money Radio's Sinclair No. As you get older, you need a plan. So don't miss My Smart Retirement this and every Saturday morning from 10 to 11 right here on Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM. Like to talk to Nancy off the air? Call her now at 480-632-8770. That's 480-632-8770. There's fresh. And then there's In-N-Out Burger Fresh. Come see your made-to-order burgers being freshly prepared before your eyes and taste the In-N-Out difference.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. We're on our second segment if you're just tuning in. Wes, thank you for bringing us in with a little Chicago. I love that. A little upbeat. It's Friday. Keep it jamming. All right. If you're just tuning in, we're talking to Dan Lawler, who's the executive director from the Desert Southwest chapter of the Alzheimer's Association, and I've got Michelle Toft, who's our director of memory care programs for Cypress Home Care Solutions. And we're talking about the caregiver conference that's going on right now as we speak at Scottsdale Bible Church. And as Dan shared with us, they're in the 26th year.
26 years. And, you know, for us, it's about resources and helping people navigate to those resources. Mm-hmm. And, you know, if there's anything you remember from this show, alz.org. That's it. You just go to the alz.org. It's chock full, rich of all kinds of information. Mm-hmm. But I know that our listening audience may be hearing right now about this caregiver conference and may be saying, darn, I wish I was there. Mm-hmm. I just read through the first segment, and I just read through the second, third, and fourth sessions, and so many of these guests I've had on the show, or so many of these speakers I've had on the show. Mm-hmm. They are rock stars. You have incredible people here speaking from whether it be the Banner Sun Health Research Institute, Arizona State, whether it be from Barrows, you name it. It's exciting stuff. It very much is. I mean, we are fortunate to live here in the state where we do have such a wealth of experts, a wealth of knowledge, and a wealth of support for families out there. I think you yourself said, going to the website, there's always services, always support available for individuals any stage of the disease, whether you just walked out of the doctor's office and they said, I think it's Alzheimer's or I think it's dementia. You know, we're there to help provide support, provide more information, give you some tips on where to go, next steps, or whether it's you have been caregiving for 20 years and you need some support, you need to look at planning and transitioning to different stages. We're there to help. You know, we're there to help any stage of that disease, any aspect of that journey.
And it's not over once you get the diagnosis. I think that's what people think.
No.
I mean, Michelle, we've had clients at Cypress live for a number of years and live out very productive lives, as productive as they can be. I mean, they're not manufacturing or creating the next greatest invention.
Right. And if people are diagnosed early in the disease process, people are still working oftentimes. Right. They still have jobs. They just notice they're having some memory troubles and want to make sure that everything's okay. And so, 15, 20 years sometimes at the high end of things if you've been diagnosed early on. And the resources that are needed at each stage is different.
Right.
And so that's where something like the Alzheimer's Association is so important, because when you're just learning your diagnosis, you're asking questions like, how do I tell my loved ones? When do I give up driving? The caregivers are worried so much about caregiver stress as opposed to when they get to the middle stages and the person may not be able to balance the checkbook anymore or needs help with personal care. Also very different from the late stages or final stages of the disease process where a person might need some complete care. So the ALZ.org is an amazing wealth of knowledge. They have virtual brain tours. They have information for people diagnosed, for caregivers, for professionals. And if you're not in Phoenix, they have them for all over the country.
Correct. I mean, we cover the entire state. Our chapter covers the entire state as well as Southern Nevada. And just as we were talking, if people aren't able to come out to the conference today, we do education every week around the valley, around the state. We even put on other mini conferences, which are a couple of different sessions strung together. I know Michelle will be doing one for us in June, I think June 29th.
Yes.
So go to the website, and see what the services and resources and support are available. It is there. And Bob, as you yourself said, life does not end at a diagnosis.
Right.
And one of the things we really stress, one of the things, funny enough, I talked to Dr. Sabat about this morning, is that it is a person with a disease. It is not a diseased person. And a lot of that framing of how we approach individuals is important. You wouldn't introduce somebody that says, this is Bob Roth, a dental patient,
right,
or things like that. It's you are Bob Roth. You happen to have something going on. And so we really work with professionals. We work with a lot of our partners on the community. We work with families and individuals to say, look, the individual is still there. The individual is still a person. They are there and can have a good quality life. They can give back. They can still be productive. And we need to educate you and them on what the disease progression is, get feedback, create a care plan, get resources, get information so everybody's prepared, everybody's involved, and that we still keep that person at the foremost of everything we do.
And you have social workers and other staff on site that will come out and help families form those care plans and figure out those resources.
We're so glad you said that. I was just going to go there. I mean, and that's the great thing about having the Alzheimer's Association here. The Desert Southwest chapter, everyone I've ever met is just so personable, and they can really work with those families. And really, I mention the families because that's really who we're here to help. It's the individual and the family along with them. Because once they have that diagnosis, they don't know what to do. They just don't know what resources are out there. And I look at the Alzheimer's Association as being really more of a navigator of resources. We have a plethora of resources right here, and I talked about it before we even got the show started. I just attended the Southwest Autism Resource and Research Center's 20th at SARC, 20th Community Breakfast. There were 1,800 people there.
Wow.
I mean, it just is phenomenal how, it is, it has grown to the size that it has grown. But one of the guest speakers said that, she ended up getting her diagnosis from Cedars-Sinai, and she went to search to see where she should go to get assistance for her child, and it was Phoenix. Phoenix is number one. But you know what? Phoenix is also number one for the Alzheimer's disease. I mean, you think about not just the association, but you think about Banner Sun Health Research Institute, you think of Banner Alzheimer's Institute, you think of Barrows Institute, you think of Mayo, you think of area agency, you think of agencies like ours, Michelle, Cypress HomeCare. We have a memory care program. We have so many resources here. We also have the Alzheimer's, or should I say Arizona Alzheimer's Consortium. And they have a conference coming up on May the 18th. I mean, if you want to find out about that, just go to azalz.org and learn a little bit more about that. But all those entities I talked about are all part of the consortium. And that's the greatest thing about it is it is shared. And it's shared because, nobody's operating in silos, because going back to what Dr. Terrio said, it's pandemic. We have to work together to find the solution.
And I think that's an important role for the association that we've taken on, above and beyond just helping the families, but really trying to convene and bring together a lot of the disparate organizations. Because you yourself say, we have a plethora of leaders from Mayo and TGen to Barrows and Dignity and Banner, and we are truly a leader and are very fortunate in really trying to convene them, bring them together, work with the coalition, and be one unit, a safety net where we're all speaking the same language and speaking to each other is important.
Well, the one thing I do want to mention, and Dan, you and I go back a number of years. I love what the Alzheimer's Association's doing. The notoriety that you guys are doing, the commercials that you guys are getting, the awareness that you're doing is amazing. Because when I was the chair for the Memory Walk in Phoenix and I was involved in the golf committee, I mean, that was 12, 13 years ago. We didn't get that much national support. You get a lot of support now from national.
We do. We're very fortunate in that. I mean, the Alzheimer's Association is an international organization, and we have seen a real focus on that support of really trying to build that awareness because, you and I have been doing this longer than I'll admit.
Right.
But the biggest question we would always get is, if only I'd known, or I didn't know you existed. And so the way to overcome that, as you say, we want to raise that awareness. We want to let people know because they need to ask for the help before we can give it to them.
I know we're going to get ready to break for our second break, and I want to just give a couple things out to our listening audience. You've got an event coming up tomorrow, right?
Correct.
And so let's talk about that so that our listening audience can grab onto that.
Sure. It's a rather fun event. It is the BVB flag football game. It's the Blondes versus Brunettes flag football game where some young professionals have been fundraising and training for us for the actual football game that'll be at North High School. So it's right over there on Thomas Road in Phoenix, Arizona.
Right next to Foundation for Senior Living.
Correct. Right across the street from Foundation for Senior Living. It's really a family-friendly, fun event. It is tomorrow night. Kickoff is at 7. There will be food trucks there. We'll have entertainment there. It is always a fun event to see all these people come out and really do something a little bit different.
And I just want our listening audience to know is that you don't have 70 and 80 and 90-year-olds that are out there playing. These are the young people that are playing that are really, really trying to draw awareness and trying to get support because you guys raise a lot of money doing
True.
this. And that's what it's all about.
And it is, and there are two things there you say. It is raising money for that support, and also it's really engaging and heartening to see the next generation. You're right, it is young professional women, 21 to 40 years old, who are taking their commitment and their dedication to this disease so that for their lifetime, for the lifetimes of their children, it's a different world in which they live.
And the website has gotten really easy to navigate through. And I just, if you don't get a chance to come out to the event, you didn't get a chance to go to the caregiver conference today, but you want to give to this cause, go to alz.org. On the top right, you got a whole menu, and it says donate. And it's really easy. Just push that button and donate. We need help.
We do.
We are getting at least some help from the United States government, but we need more, and we need your help. Well, it's hard to believe we're down our second segment, Dan. Michelle, you're going to leave us. You're going to go over to the caregiver
conference.
Going
back to the conference. That's right.
Well, thank you for being here with us. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. We're down our second segment. It's halftime here. We'll be right back.
As we reach the bottom of the hour, we pause for a look at the world's news. Then we're back with Money Talk. We're Money Radio 1510 AM and 105.3 FM.
Congress still seems resistant to coming up with money to build President Trump's border wall, today passing a short-term extension of the federal budget that does not have any money for it, and chances appear iffy for funding when they negotiate a budget for the rest of the fiscal year. But the president was telling a friendly crowd at the NRA annual meeting in Atlanta this afternoon,
"We'll build the wall. Don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. Don't even think about it." That's an easy one. We're going to build the wall. We need the wall.
The U.S. giving North Korea clear warning today about its nuclear weapons program. The Pentagon is sending an anti-missile defense system to South Korea, and Secretary of State Rex Tillerson says every option is on the table.
We much prefer a negotiated solution to this problem, but we are committed to defending ourselves and our allies against North Korean aggression.
Police in Polk County, Florida, say a former Mississippi cop was drunk when he hit 5 kids with his car yesterday, killing one. I'm Michael Toscano.
This is Charles Osgood. You've heard me talk about how Upside.com saves you and your company big on business travel. And it gives you a big gift card with every trip you buy. In less than 2 minutes, Upside gave me some great choices on flights to Chicago and some big-name hotels there. The first option saved me more than $600 on my flight and hotel and gave me a $100 gift card. And then Upside showed me some other options. An earlier flight and the same kind of hotel just down the block saved me even more money and gave me a bigger gift card. Being a little flexible does get you more. Upside.com is the real deal. When you book your first trip, just use my last name, Osgood, and you get an Amazon gift card worth at least $100. That's right. Use my last name, Osgood, to get a $100 gift card. Save big on travel and get a big gift card every trip. Upside.com. That's Upside.com. Minimum purchase required. See site for complete details.
When you were at work yesterday, was your money also working hard for you? If not, let's change things today. Keep listening to Money Radio.
Hi, I'm Gary Kolf. I'm host of the nationally syndicated radio show Investor's Edge. We're not just handsome radio people. We manage investors' money for a living, specializing in fee-based discretionary money management. No big commissions, just a fee on the assets that's managed. We also provide a full range of personalized services, including retirement planning, insurance, fixed income, and educational needs, all to assist you in achieving your financial goals. Understanding not all individuals have the same needs, we will carefully evaluate your personal goals to determine a proper investment strategy. If your current approach to investing is not getting you where you would like to be, call us to make an appointment for a complimentary portfolio review. The number to call, 888-422-5559. That's 888-422-5559. That's 888-422-5559.
The Marine Corps Law Enforcement Foundation has raised over $71 million since 1995 to help families of fallen Marines and federal law enforcement. On Friday, May 12th, they'll have their 13th annual golf tournament. 7 Medal of Honor recipients will be in attendance. Not a golfer? Join the Marine Corps Law Enforcement Foundation May 11th at the American Legion in Cave Creek at 6 p.m. for a meet and greet with the Medal of Honor recipients. For more information, go to mclefaz.org.
Men, if you're like me, you appreciate the feeling of a smooth, clean shave. But you're tired of paying $32 for new blades. Stop messing around with those generic razors and start shaving with Harry's for half the price. Harry's is so confident in the quality of their blades, they'll send you their most popular shave set, shaving cream, and post-shave balm for free when you cover shipping, a total value of $20. Just go to harrys.com now and enter code 0909 at checkout to redeem your shave set. That's harrys.com, code 0909.
Are you hiring? Join the over 3 million businesses that use Indeed.com for hiring. Post your next job opening on the world's #1 job site, Indeed.com.
I'm Bruce Vail with Your Money Now. While General Motors reported a sharp rise in profit in its latest quarter, Honda had a big gain in profit for its recent fiscal year as the automaker put recall costs behind it. Profit for the recently ended fiscal year rose 80% to more than $5.5 billion. The result came despite a 4% decline in revenue. Toyota is recalling about 250,000 late-model Tacoma pickup trucks because the rear wheels have the potential to lock up, which could cause drivers to lose control. Toyota said oil can leak from the rear differential, which could damage components, and the automaker said most of the recalled trucks are in North America. Dealers will make necessary repairs. On Wall Street, stocks are mixed again in the final hour of trading. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 32 points. The Nasdaq Composite is up, but just a fraction, and the S&P 500 is down 4 points. That's Your Money Now.
An economic boom is coming. Don't let your business get left behind. If you need to build, call General Steel today. Steel prices are expected to rise, but you can still lock in your price on a General Steel building. You can still get an 80-foot by 150-foot building for under $99,000. That's right, 12,000 square feet for under $99,000. Don't let rising steel prices put your project out of reach. Call 866-95-STEEL. 866-95-STEEL. That's 866-957-8335.
Get that spring flooring project done with incredible deals from Lumber Liquidators. This week at the best selection of Woodlook waterproof flooring up to 24% off. All water-resistant Dream Home Ultra X2O laminate is 11 to 13% off. And get 10% off pre-finished engineered hardwood and engineered bamboo. They're great for every environment and every level of your home. More deals from 69 cents plus special financing. Get the perfect floor with deals from Lumber Liquidators today.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and I've got Dan Lawler, the Executive Director from the Alzheimer's Association Desert Southwest chapter here in the studio. Michelle Toft, who is our Director of Memory Care Programs, is now left the studio. Michelle went back to the caregiver conference that the Alzheimer's Association puts on. There's over 400 people there, and we're trying to help these families get to the right solution that they need.
Correct.
Because they're dependent. They're wanting to know, how can I best care for my loved one?
Well, nobody can do it alone. And, that's the thing. Even the most capable, best prepared person, you still need support, still need help. And it's always good just to see what's the latest education, what's the latest tools and resources available, what is the trajectory we see, what's the hope on the horizon. I mean, to keep yourself informed and have those skills so you can take it back and do the best job possible.
Right. And I like that. I mean, you can do the best job possible, but you can also feel like you have a life.
That's true.
And, my brothers and I, we created Cypress Home Care, and we didn't really talk about this at the beginning of the show, but if you're listening in the very, very first time, we were caregivers for my mother for nearly 18 years. And we were more put in that accidental role. We didn't ever intend to be there. Mom had a major heart attack at 48 years old and never was really quite the same. But when we created this company to give those families that we knew they were the family caregiver, to give them the respite that they need. Because in order to be a really good caregiver for a loved one, you've got to be able to take care of yourself.
Correct.
The statistics are daunting. I mean, we know that couples caring for one another, 65 and older, 63% of the time, the caregiver, that's correct, the caregiver predeceases the care recipient. Because of the emotional and physical stress. And then I look at this disease. And this disease, talk about stress, can cause so much stress if you don't know how to be able to handle or be able to deal with or cope with a loved one that has this disease.
Well, and that's true, but I would even go one further, that when I talk with people who, prior to having a personal connection with the disease, still worked in the field, still whether they were a researcher or somehow worked in the senior care field, they're unprepared for what happens when it's someone you love, when it is you're in that role, and it is nothing to be ashamed of. It is nothing to feel bad about. It is something to say, look, nobody is fully prepared, and so we need to reach out. You need to have that support, and really that's what the association's there to help. We're there to help people at any stage of the disease, to support them in any way that we possibly can, so that they themselves take care of themselves, but also that we're there to help the loved one, the person who has the disease.
So let's really share with our listening audience some of the facts. And, I've talked about it before, about how the numbers are daunting. And, I wish and I'm hoping, and, Dr. Eric Ryman, who is the founding scientist behind the Banner Alzheimer's Institute, and Dr. Pierre Theriault both say repeatedly, and even Dr. Marwan Sabah, who I've had here on the show a couple times, they're trying to work themselves out of a job.
Yes.
And it would be really nice to be able to work themselves out of a job. But the challenging thing that we have is that we get these facts and figures every year, and the needle's going the wrong way.
Correct.
And, right now, Alzheimer's is the 6th leading cause for death.
Correct.
And
nationwide.
And the 5 that are above it are all declining. And Alzheimer's continues to grow.
The statistics are even more staggering than that. Of the top 10 causes of death of Americans, Alzheimer's is the only one where the rate of incidence is inclining, getting bigger, while the other 9 are declining and getting less prevalent. And that's advances in treatment, advances in research for those other 9 diseases. And so it's also to deal with the aging population. As there are many risk factors to Alzheimer's disease, age is the number one risk factor. So as people age, your risk for developing Alzheimer's disease goes up. And you're right. The needle is moving in the wrong direction. And I think as a byproduct of one of the things we've talked about so far on this show is that we are truly fortunate in Arizona that we have so many great research institutes. We have so many great experts, so much great support. A part of that is because here in the state of Arizona, Alzheimer's is the 4th leading cause of death. It is classified by the Department of Economic Security, by our own public health institutes, as a crisis, a public health crisis here in the state. And so the state itself has taken notice and is really trying to provide support.
Well, the state is not only taking it notice, but they have a plan.
They do. We've worked with a number of other community partners as well as DES and state agencies to develop the Alzheimer's State Plan, really a framework for action so that it really can bring together and give clear direction to individuals at every aspect of this disease, from researchers to volunteer organizations to caregivers and policymakers, to give them that plan of action as to what can you do, how can you be a part of the solution, how can you help stop that needle growing and help move the needle in the right direction so that we're able to better support, better care for, and hopefully one day realize a world where there is no Alzheimer's.
And that would be a great day. And it's interesting because I want our listening audience to know this. It's not a bunch of, government individuals that are sitting in a conference room from the Department of Economic Security or Department of Health Services. It really is a village. It's all the institutions that we've talked about, including the governor's office.
Correct.
Governor Doug Ducey is very much aware of this. And I know that the Advisory Council on Aging is very much a part of the state plan. So, we have a plan. We definitely do. And the plan is to really help navigate to the right resources for these families. We have the researchers that are working on trying to find a way to eliminate disease, but, we need to diagnose these people that are afflicted with it early enough. We have, at Banner Alzheimer's Institute, and I can only talk about that. I can only speak to that because I serve on their board. We have all kinds of clinical trials that are going on there. And you might be eligible for a clinical trial. You don't know.
You might be, and it's an ideal way for our listeners and individuals to get involved. Again, you've said going to alz.org, you can see what resources we have available, from education that we do every week to having our social workers come out and work with you. But also you can find out information about clinical trials and what research is going on.
Right.
One thing I have to say about the state plan is that we truly have had great support and bipartisan support in terms of help and funding and being able to try to move that needle. I just came from the Alzheimer's conference. We had an introduction from Senator Jeff Flake, who taped an introduction specifically for us. And that shows really the bipartisan support we have. I've talked with a number of our senators or representatives, whether it be Representative Gallego or
Kristen Sinema. Yep.
We have had great bipartisan support. People recognize the epidemic or pandemic nature of this disease and that we really have to take notice, not just at the federal government level, just as I'm glad you pointed out, but at the local level. the organizations in the communities, from Dementia Friendly Tempe and being a part of that initiative with Mayor Mitchell out there to really try to make the city itself a leader in Alzheimer's care and Alzheimer's support to the Dementia Friendly Arizona movement that just started to really come together. We're really seeing people really come together and rally around this.
I have chills. And I've talked about it here on the show before about the dementia-friendly city of Tempe. I mean, we are one of 5 that were selected initially. So, and the dementia-friendly state, it's going to happen. Because we got great people that are behind it, including the Alzheimer's Association. It's hard to believe that we're down our 3rd segment, Dan. We got one more to go. Stay tuned. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. Coming at you live from the Money Radio studios in Scottsdale Air Park. We'll be right back.
Bill Gunderson's nationwide Best Stocks radio show is coming soon to Money Radio. Every morning between 9 and 10 a.m., starting May 1st, professional money manager Bill Gunderson will talk about the economy, markets, and Best Stocks Now. Bill Gunderson is also the inventor of the Best Stocks Now app and the writer of the weekly Best Stocks Now newsletter. If you like to invest in the markets, this is the show for you. You will not want to miss one episode. Visit GundersonCapital.com for more info. That's GundersonCapital.com.
5 times more hires are made through Indeed.com than any other job site, according to independent research. Imagine a lottery that had 5 times more winners, or a Sunday with 5 times more touchdowns. When you're hiring, it makes 5 times more sense to use Indeed. Right now, we're giving new users a $50 credit to post a sponsored job on the world's #1 job site. Claim your $50 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Get total freedom in your life safely and quickly. Build wealth and passive income so you never worry about working till you drop, losing your job, or retiring in poverty. Hi, I'm Steve Davis, an investor in thousands of units over the years. Now it's your turn. Del Walmsley has been my mentor for nearly 25 years, and he's taught over 100,000 people just like you the principles of financial freedom through live one-on-one mentoring at Lifestyles Unlimited and his national radio show. I'm excited to tell you about the real estate workshop that changed my life. The workshop gets you on the inside of what we do and what we believe and unlocks the 5 ways we make money in real estate. Just like your personal trainer, Lifestyles Unlimited will motivate, encourage, and teach you so you can get in the best financial shape of your life. Call 866-971-8970 or go to luiphoenix.com. That's luiphoenix.com to register for the workshop that will change your life and let you stop worrying about working till you drop, losing your job, or retiring in poverty.
It's all the genuineness of an In-N-Out burger times 2. The In-N-Out Double Double. Double meat, double cheese, double fresh. Come taste the difference at In-N-Out Burger.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. And if you don't know that song that is just being shared right now, that is Glenn Campbell. And, he did an incredible movie, Dan. That was the I'll Be Me movie.
Correct.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Here's a guy who already knew he was afflicted with this disease.
Mm-hmm.
And he went on tour.
Mm-hmm.
And was able to almost complete that tour, and the cameras followed him. They had like 1,500 hours of video, and they condensed it into this movie, and I really encourage everyone to see this, because this man and his family allowed the world into his life and into the life of someone with Alzheimer's, and music is the last thing that goes. And it really is amazing that this guy would perform a concert and he couldn't, really know when to go to the bathroom or when to go to eat, but he could perform like nobody's business. And he truly, if you've heard of perfect pitch, that man had perfect pitch. Beautiful voice.
It is, and I encourage people to get out and see that movie and see some of the others that are out there. Because
Alive Inside
is
another one.
Still
Alice. They
It's amazing, and it's funny.
The Notebook.
It's funny you say that, because when I first started many years ago at this job, nobody talked about Alzheimer's. And then I remember when Grey's Anatomy came out on TV, and the central character, Meredith Grey, her mom had Alzheimer's.
Right.
And I was like, wow, this is great, because, as Glenn Campbell proves, as more individuals come forward and prove, we need to destigmatize this disease.
Thank you.
I mean, it's a disease, and people get it, and there's not a stigma. It's a disease. Much like any other disease that people could get, it just happens, and we need to deal with it. We need to actually be honest about it and have a conversation about it and deal with it and support those individuals who have it and who are caring for people that have it.
And by the way, these aren't fictional stories.
They are not.
These are real people. And that book and movie about Still Alice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's her point. Her point is that she's still the same person. She just didn't have the memory that she used to have.
It is, and whether it's, former Supreme Court Justice O'Connor coming out and talking about her husband, but the more people that will share their stories, the better it is for us all, because we can sit here and talk about the statistics all day long, but the statistics aren't statistics. They're people.
Right.
They're people, they're their lives, they're their stories, and we need to always focus on that.
It makes it real.
It really does.
It makes it real.
It is. It's not just a statistic, it's a person.
It is. And I want to share with our listening audience a situation that happened to me back in December. Every year we have at least 2, sometimes 3 caregiver appreciation days. We always have one right before the holiday, winter break. And we probably had, of the 200 caregivers, we probably had about 70 or 80 of them come by to help celebrate. And one of them has been with me for a long time, over 10 years, and is an incredible caregiver. Matter of fact, she reminds me of my mom. And I knew she had had some issues medically, and they were primarily around her knees.
Mm-hmm.
And she was there, and she gave me a big hug. And I mean, really, Mom's been gone 15 years, and she's kind of like my surrogate mom. And she said, "Can I talk to you, Bob?" And I said, "Sure." And we walked into my office, and I said, "Please have a seat." And she goes, "No, I want to stand." I said, "Okay." And I said, "What's going on?" And she goes, "My health." And I said, "Oh, I know." I said, are you thinking about getting an injection or maybe having a knee replacement? Because I know. And she goes, "Bob, it's not my knees, although they do hurt." And I said, "What's going on?" She goes, "It's my memory." And I said, "Tell me about what's..." And she told me some of these things. And I could just see the fear in her eyes. And my first recommendation to her was to get an appointment with her PCP. I said, "You need to get into your primary care physician first." I said, "If you need to get into a specialist, I'll help you. But first, I want you to go to your primary care physician." I said, "Number 2, I said, you need to talk to your sons."
Yeah.
I said, and I knew her sons. I didn't know them, but I knew she had sons. I said, "You need to talk to your sons. You need to call them up and ask them if they can come over to the house and tell them what you're dealing with." And that's hard. I mean, you think about that individual and how many might be going through this. How many may be listening to this radio show or might have a parent or a sibling that is feeling these things and maybe not even talking about it.
Yeah, and it is hard, and it's a hard conversation, and it's because there's fear involved. There's a fear of what's next and what's to come. One of the things we talk about at the association and really encourage people to do is have that conversation with your PCP, your primary care physician, if you suspect something's wrong. When people visit families, when they're talking with their parents or a loved one, and there's some memory issues, maybe some memory loss, maybe people are misplacing keys. Some of the big signs, and might not be as obvious, are, if you have a loved one who used to love doing a particular hobby and now they show no interest in it, because there's a lot of things to remember about doing certain things. And so people will just give up because they get frustrated because they can't do it. And they might say they've lost interest, but it could be a symptom or a sign that something deeper is going on. But we encourage people, have that conversation. I know it can be fearful, but the one thing we often talk about is, what if it's not Alzheimer's? What if it's not dementia? It could be stress. It could be other medications you're taking for other chronic conditions.
Dehydration. It could be a UTI. A lot of different things.
A lot of things cause memory loss and cause dementias, things that can be corrected and rectified. And so we encourage people, not just because getting an accurate diagnosis as early as you can in any disease lifetime, I feel is better, because you can plan better, you can know better, and you can look at what treatments are available and what I can do. But also, the more you know accurately what to do. I mean, oftentimes we do sometimes have caregivers that come in and say, I'm not sure I really want to go and get this. And it's like, if you go and it's not Alzheimer's, if it's Parkinson's, if it's Lewy bodies, if it's simply they say, hey, this medication you're taking, a side effect is memory loss. Suddenly, it's like, hey, I can do something immediately and change. And I think the more information, the more accurate information people have, the better equipped they are to plan for their lives and for their loved ones to care for them.
Absolutely. It's interesting. I share a lot of my medical stuff with our listening audience, and I have a follow-up doctor's appointment with my cardiologist. I have family history, and I take a very, very low statin. Mm-hmm. One of the side effects for statins, memory loss.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right, medications. I mean, it could be just about anything.
It could be, and even something as over-the-counter as like a Tylenol PM. Any
Right.
PM medication will have a side effect of memory loss.
And the important thing is this stuff that you stated just before. Some of the signs, for forgetfulness is one.
Mm-hmm.
But, you see somebody that is, maybe their hygiene is not the quality it used to be.
Correct.
Bumps and bruises.
Correct.
Another is, if you go over to the home and they're starting to hoard and start collecting things.
Correct. And
so many of those things are out
there are things like, if you live, 10 minutes from your parents and it takes them half an hour to get to you, they could be getting lost along the way. There's, a lot of subtle things that people will cover up with excuses. And so they're things that oftentimes we willingly turn a blind eye to, but it really helps. It helps an individual who's affected. It helps the caregivers and the families in the long run if we start to pay attention, at least ask those questions, at least look to see.
The couples that are out there, the greatest generation, they oftentimes cover for one another, and we often see that in the caregiving business, and I know you see it as well.
We do.
I mean, I heard the craziest one about 2 weeks ago where, the son who was young enough to be able to, know where to go but couldn't physically drive because he had a disability. His mother could drive, and she couldn't see. So oftentimes that happens. It's hard to believe we're wrapping things up. Real quickly, I remember you being a Cardinal fan, right?
I am.
All right, so tell me, what do you think about the draft?
Oh, it's an exciting time. I'm hopeful for the Cardinals this year. I mean, last year...
I know, and Hassan Reddick, I mean, this guy, came down in the order. He was available. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Thank you, Dan Lawler.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Make it a great day. Have a great weekend. We will be back next week.
There's no place like home. You've been listening to Bob Roth's Health Futures. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call Cypress HomeCare Solutions at 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Or visit CypressHomeCare.com. Be sure to join Health Futures with Bob Roth every Friday at noon, right here on Money Radio 1510 and 105.3 FM.
In your business, you trust people who time and time again get the job done. At Indeed.com, we deliver 5 times more hires than any other job site, according to independent research. That's why over 3 million businesses use Indeed when they're hiring. Because getting the job done matters. Right now, we're giving new users a $50 credit to post a sponsored job on the world's #1 job site. Claim your $50 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Money Radio 1510
and 105.3 FM.
Camden and Mesa, Phoenix. How are things in your financial portfolio looking right now? Keep listening to Money Radio, and soon they'll be looking up. K287BX Mesa. Take a look at your numbers. Dow's closed 43 points. 20,934. S&P down 5 points at 2385, and NASDAQ down 2 points at 6,047.
When people want to talk about money, this is the place they come to. And there's more on the way after this break for the latest news. And we've been